my name is Gwendolyn. I'm a PhD student from the Department of Historical Studies in NTNU. Obviously, the slides look the same with Espen and Martin, so I work under the same project that Espen has presented earlier. A little about my background. I am originally from Taiwan, but I also live in the Philippines because my father is a businessman in the Philippines in the 80s until now. I have a bachelor degree in business management from the Philippines, and I have a master's degree in global studies. And in between 2006 and before I started my PhD, I was working in various companies and industries in Taiwan, Philippines, and Trondheim. So my presentation today will be an outline of my PhD project. It's Fueling the Global Trade Engine, Noble Group and the Rise of China, 1980 to 2015. So since my project is at the early stage, it's a starting stage, what can be expected from my presentation today are the initial concepts or ideas, or the big plan about it. And both the presentation and the project description is not bulletproof, so I hope the audience can give me some feedbacks afterwards to help me improve the direction of my study. Alright, so the flow of my talk goes as follows. First, I will present the research objectives and questions, and to be followed by the status of knowledge about the economic developments in China for the past 3 decades, and where due to the economic developments, there is a rise in production and consumption of raw materials and commodities needed for this transformation. And the role of commodity traders comes in. So I will be taking a company called Noble Group. They are currently the #1 Asian commodity trader that's located, have headquarters in Hong Kong. So Noble Group will be my case study. And lastly, I will talk a bit about the methodology and some summary. So the aim of my research is to study or explore the development of the role of global commodity trading, but specifically in the changing position of China in the global economy. So another way of putting it is that the aim of my study is to investigate, or in another perspective, looking in another perspective, the rise of China and how the flow of raw materials and the companies involved in fueling this Chinese economic growth in the period of 1980 to 2015. Why this period? Because this period captures a series of relevant events and peaks in the history of Chinese economic development. And also, why look at the Chinese market? Because of 2 very obvious reasons. The Chinese market has global attention and also fondly global effect. So based on the research objectives, I formulated 2 research questions. First is, how can the growth of Noble Group help us to understand the evolving role of China to the global economy? So I'm asking, in what ways Noble Group, or the company that I'm going to use as a case study, have historically operated, and how can their operations help us understand the shifts in the global economy? And the second is, what has been the impact of Noble Group in the development of the host economies in which they operate? So I'm interested to find out about how did Noble Group's business strategies relate to the economic rise of China, or looking at the period of time, what is happening in China and what is Noble Group doing due to the effects or due to the changes in the Chinese market. So I call this the China factor. So is there a China factor in the global trade? We will find out. But before I move on, next few slides, I will be presenting some graphs and pictures just to give overview of the economic developments in China for the past 3 decades. I think most of you know more or less what has happened, but just to have kind of setting the background a bit. Here is 3 charts. So China is the #1 trading partner of many big countries and economies in the world. On the most right, yeah, on there, the most first graph. China is the #1 trading partner of, for example, Japan, Australia, South Korea, Russia, India, and South Africa. And they are also the top trading partner of countries like Canada, USA, Indonesia, Mexico, and Brazil. What is interesting in this graph is that, where is my pen? There, great, improvised. You can see here, the first graph is actually showing the percentage of trade, import and export dynamics between China and Japan in the year 2000 and in the year 2009. So if you see per country, whether China is #1 trading partner, #2 trading partner, there is a huge increase in the dynamics of trade with China and many big economies in the world. And of course, China's share of total world export also spiked. And of course, the Chinese GDP, as everyone knows, it has also skyrocketed since 1980 until the present time. And next, I'll be showing 2 sets of pictures. First is the city of Shanghai. This is the city of Shanghai in 1990 and in 2010. So if you were in Shanghai in 1990, you will be standing what they call the marshy land. I'm referring to probably this area. Why is it a marshy land? Because the ground is very soft and it supports very few buildings and very small, low buildings. But the marshland has been drained and now stand numerous skyscrapers, metro lines, international airports, and so on and so forth. So this is the modern financial center of China. And this kind of development is happening, or has happened, or is still happening in many areas in China. And another example is the province of Shenzhen. It's located in the southwestern of China, close to Hong Kong. So it has also been transformed to a modern metropolitan city, which links Hong Kong business hub to the mainland China. So what is my point? Why I showed all of these pictures and graphs? Probably you guys know already. I just want you to think. Could you imagine how much raw materials and commodities was needed to transform from this to this? So this is the big, this is the big issue here. And next thing, this is also very interesting. Here are the selected global commodities showing China's share of consumption, global consumption, in 2014. So an example for iron, steel, aluminum, coal, nickel, and so forth. China has, on average, almost 50% of this global consumption, which is really stunning. And let's take a closer look at the steel. Here is a table of the top 10 global steel producers and steel consumers based on statistics from 2013. So, as you can see here, steel consumption. China consumes more steel than USA, India, Japan, South Korea, Russia combined altogether. So it's a very huge consumption. But China also produces its own steel. But of course it needs many other raw materials such as coal and of course the iron ore to do this. And to support this one, another statistics also show that actually there is an increase in steel consumption globally between the years 2002 and 2012. But looking at this, I just want you to concentrate on the red one. China has been consuming a lot in 2002, but consuming more in 2012. So there is an increase in global consumption, yes, but the rate and the portion of China's consumption is really big. So why did I show this? Because, so how did China cope up with this demand? This role of commodity traders then comes in. So as I mentioned earlier, I'll be using Noble Group as a company. That's good, I found a picture of him in suit. So Noble Group is founded by Richard Samuel Ellman, this man in the picture, in 1986. Ellman was a former Philip Brothers Asian Regional Director for a decade. But before he founded Noble Group, he had more than 30 years of experience in this trading field. And Noble Group is ranked 76 in the Global Fortune 500, and they are the only top global commodity trader who has a headquarter in Hong Kong. And they have diversified business portfolio, meaning the metal, minerals, and ores, MMO, energy, and agriculture. Actually, they have also other businesses like logistics, chartering, in management, and finance. They kind of do a little of everything. But here, I want to kind of, I don't know if it's correct, to justify why I chose Noble Group as my case study. I plotted Noble Group with other top commodity traders, comparing to the year that it was founded, the location of the headquarters, and their business line. So, as I highlighted here, Noble Group was founded in 1986, which was, they had not been around too long, but they are also not the newest company in the market. And also, as mentioned earlier, they are the only top commodity trader having a headquarters in Hong Kong or in Asia. So they have a strong presence in Asia. And they are among the commodity traders who have diversified business lines. And here, just to give an overview of the major trade flows of Noble Group. The green lines are agriculture, the blue lines are in energy business, and the brown lines are MMO business. So, for example, Noble Group is sourcing from low-cost areas like Brazil or Australia, coal for instance, and soybeans and wheat from Brazil, and passing it on to refineries or crushing plants, then distributing it to mainly in China or many other rising markets like the Middle East as well. So as you can see, China is a big hub for Noble Group. Many of the commodities either end up there or go through China. And here is just one of the, oh dear, it's very blurred. One of the many examples of what Noble Group trade with China. For example, this is what they call the soybean pipeline, how soybeans are originating from South America to China. The green actually shows the process, and the bottom part shows where or what Noble Group earns from this process. So I just go over it very quickly. In the production, the farmers in Brazil, they get their fertilizers from Noble Group. So Noble Group actually earned from the fertilizer sale. And then Noble Group purchase this agricultural produce directly from the farmers. So they get it at the lowest price possible. and then it's transported to their warehouse, I mean the Noble Group's warehouse in Brazil, and then transported in their own Noble chartering ships or cargoes, and then processed in their own integrated, refined integrated plant in China, and then further on sold. This slide actually contains some very important information, but it's not very clear. I will try to explain as much as I can. Here I tried to, I selected some years, and then referring to what is the percentage of sales turnover for each business line of Noble Group. And then the middle section is what is happening in China, or there's of course many things happening in China during that time, but the selected historical or economic development in China around that period. And this section I tried to select some significant events or transactions or collaborations between Noble Group and China, or Noble Group in China. So let's take, for example, in 1986, of course, that's when Noble Group was founded. So their initial business was in MMOs, the minerals. I don't have the exact figures in that year, but during that year also, China has reinstated the open door policy, which means they wanted more foreign direct investments. And of course, the stock market opened in Shanghai and Shenzhen in 1989. And then the business line of Noble Group was in the stable focus in MMOs throughout the 90s. And something happened in the year 2000, but unfortunately in the annual report in 2000, I could not find any clue or any specific number mentioning how much percentage is their business in each business line, but I guess they purposely did not show it for some reasons. But in 2001, if you compare 1999 and 2001, Noble Group had focus in MMO still in 1999. But in 2001, suddenly the business focus went down from 95% to 23%, and out comes energy sector or division, and also an increase in their agricultural business. So in 2001, Noble Group had many new businesses added in their company. And it is also at the same time that China joined the World Trade Organization after several years of negotiations. And for example, in the most recent events in 2014, why agriculture suddenly disappeared? That is because Noble Group and COFCO is China state-owned agricultural holding company. Noble Group and COFCO made a deal, and they created Noble Agri. So Noble Agri is, Noble Group owns 49% and COFCO owns 51%. So in their annual report, they write off the agricultural income because of that. So this is an overview of some of my work in progress. Methodology, of course, there are open sources available. For example, as I said, the company's annual reports, which is first available from 1994 until 2014, and they have also their company newsletters, which is saying a lot about their new business and what is going on in each of their regional offices and so on. And of course, some financial analysis and economic reports about the commodity trading that is happening in China. And I think the annual reports and newsletter are very much, in a way, positively describing Noble Group. And I hope to get some other, other information or interesting things that nobody else has yet known about Noble Group. So far, there are not much controversies surrounding Noble Group or their activities. The only recent one is called this iceberg project, which someone accused Noble Group of saying something or stating something that is not correct in their annual report, but this was later on justified. And third, I mentioned here oral history. Of course, I'm planning to interview or get in contact with people who have significant experiences from the commodity trading industry, particularly with experiences particularly with the Chinese market from the 80s. And of course, I hope to be able to reach out to the key management and the people in Noble Group, the founder, Richard Ellman, the current CEO, and the key management people, and so forth. Yeah. Yes, I think I said most of what I wanted to say. Thank you.